Hello, welcome to Old Man Energy. Thank you for joining us today, and we are going to be talking about a topic today that comes up repeatedly, both with clients and just in my personal life all the time. I'm a little agitated running into this topic today, so it should be kind of interesting, and mostly because the topic itself irritates me drastically, and once we get into it, you'll understand why. I want to talk about time, and time from a perspective of we don't have enough of it. Well, that's not exactly a true statement because we all have the same 24 hours. Some of us have less left than others because we all have an expiration date. And the wonderful gamble of life is we don't know when that is. So let's open up a different way of looking at time, a different way of thinking about it. And hopefully you'll have a takeaway that will make a difference for you and a difference in your life. As always, if you're not liked and subscribed, please make sure you do so. Check out our social media. All the links are below. However you watch us, however you enjoy us, please make sure that you're subscribed so you're catching up on all of the latest. At the end of this, you stick around till the end, I'm going to give you 6 actionable things that you can do today to start taking advantage of the time that you have left and making better use of the time that you generally have right now. One thing, we always look at time as something that's static, as something that is just, it's always pressing, it's always passing, and you can't stop it, you can't control it. Well, that's partially true, but not really, because even time itself, how we experience it matters, but also time itself is not a static thing. Time moves differently based on gravity, based on just from a universal and a spatial perspective. Time does not move the same in all areas of space. That's why you hear things referred to as space-time, because they are inexorably linked. The satellites that control GPS, they do not keep the exact same time signature the clocks here on Earth do, even the atomic clock. And it has to do with the gravity and the gravitational pull. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down if you want to go look it up. But in order to make sure that GPS worked all the time, they had to adjust for that differential. And there's a lot of physics in there and a lot of space-time theory and what have you. But understand, time is a fluid thing. It moves at different paces. Now, for a much more emotional standpoint, think about this. When you're having fun, when you're just in the zone, when you're in the middle, and when I'm talking about being in the zone, I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about when you're having fun, you're doing something you love, you're spending time with a loved one, you're spending time with your kids and they're enjoying, just you're at peace and you're very, very happy. Time seems to go by so quickly. An hour or two can just disappear. The same is also true in a routine. And not so much a routine of productive and getting you towards your goals, but a routine of doing the same thing, the drudgery over and over and over again. A lot of people refer to this as being in a rut. And old mentor of mine gave us that old cliche that a rut is just a grave with the ends knocked out. If you're in that, yes, time goes by quickly too. You can look up and all of a sudden it's 2 or 3 or 10 years later, and where have you really gotten? These are some sobering things to think about, and they are terribly hard to swallow. I don't like them. I don't like to think about them. It's one reason I'm so agitated today. And you alter your perception of time based on how you see the world and based on where you are in it. And I'm going to tell you something right now, and this is for my younger listeners out there. When you start to realize that you have less ahead of you than you have behind you, you start to look at the world completely differently. It is a very somber time when you realize that, and it can be scary. It can light you on fire. It can depress you. It can do all kinds of things. For me, it kind of pissed me off a little bit and has made me recalibrate some stuff that I was working on, some things that I've done, some things that I haven't done over the years. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And as always, I share my personal journey with you as we go through here. I'm going to be reading some notes. I have some stuff I specifically want to cover today, and I have some personal stories, and I'll probably ramble a little bit, but whatever, I'm going to give you value, and I'm going to tell you where I'm coming from. So, but the most important thing is to remember that you have an expiration date. So you need to stop waiting. And I don't care whether you're 12, whether you're 20, or whether you're 80. You need to stop waiting, because not a single person on their deathbed ever says, God, I wish I'd waited longer to do X, or I wish I'd worked more, or whatever. They don't do that. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later as far as, man, I wish I could go back and have just X with so-and-so. We're going to talk about how your routines kill your time, how my sobriety, which it hasn't even been 30 days yet, but how that's helped me understand and be more present. And the last 2 or 3 weeks have really felt like a lot longer time because my brain wasn't numb for part of it. So that's been interesting as well. And I'm going to talk about some of those realizations as long as I have time. But also as a why, when you have a day that's been wasted, you can never get it back. You can't buy it back. Time is the one thing that everybody's given freely. It passes no matter what. And what you do with it or don't do with it is 100% up to you. Nobody controls it. Nobody can take it away from you, and nobody can stop it. Just think about that for a minute, because that's terrifying. And then again, at the end, we're going to talk about the 6 things that you can do to start building your legacy right now. Time passes no matter what, no matter how you experience it, no matter what the gravitational difference is. I like to use that as an example from the beginning, but time passes. You can't stop it. If you go to sleep and take a nap, that time is gone. If you waste your time, that time is gone. If you sit there staring at nothing, that time is gone. If you spend your time on pointless tasks, driving yourself into the ground and beating yourself up over things you didn't do or were supposed to do, that time is gone. You cannot get it back. You can never get it back. Now, that looks terrible, but at the same time, you can use that to your advantage, because if there's one thing that you do control, it's how you spend your time. So you can make a choice today, right now, and start spending your time more productively. Can you be productive 100% of the time? I don't know. You got to rest sometime, but even that can be looked at as being productive. But you can identify the areas in your time of your life where you are not being productive, and start being productive in those, or at least start eliminating some of them. Now, this doesn't mean don't do things that matter to you. One of the things is I would give anything to go back to when my kids were little and relive some of those days. I didn't even know it at the time. I mean, there's a few times in our life when we look and we go, man, this is just awesome. And we know we're making a core memory. But some of those other things, just some of those routines, and then you can never recapture that. I know with my youngest son, I would pick Ashton up from pre-K or daycare. Every day it was the same thing. We'd go to McDonald's, and he had a little desk set up at my office. So we'd go to McDonald's, we'd go to the post office, we'd check the mail, and then we would go back to the office, and he would have his coloring papers or his work, or he had a little DVD player. He just had his little area set up there, and he would hang out with me for the afternoon. I can't even remember a lot of those days specifically, but I know how important they were. And man, I would give almost anything to be able to experience one of them again. Another one of my sons, he used to like sports. He wasn't terribly great at it at the time, but he liked it. And he'd get so excited, he'd start shaking, and he'd go to shoot the basketball. And then while it was in the air, he'd just be standing there with a little fist clenched and just trying to go for it. My youngest daughter, she loved to try and scare us. She was terrible at it, but she was always doing something trying to scare us, and usually it ended up just being cute instead of scary. But those are the things that I'd love to go back and just remember. No, I remember them. I'd love to go back and experience them again. But you know what? Once that time has passed, it's gone. With Nicole, a few months ago, this is before we moved out of the house, we were sitting there, she and I, just one evening, sitting there playing music videos. And this little girl's loved music since she was a tiny infant. And we were playing some of our favorite music videos and going back and forth. And song came on, and it was The Sound of Silence. It was a Disturbed version. And just out of nowhere, she goes, I want to dance with you at my wedding to this song, Pop Pop. No idea where that came from, but man, that hit. I was like, wow, okay. And then when we were done, a little bit later, time to go to bed, she gave me a hug and said, this has been the best evening ever. So sometimes you get the opportunity to know when you're making those core memories and you've spent your time appropriately, but sometimes you don't. Don't beat yourself up over what's missed, over the time that's been missed. It doesn't matter. Just let it go. And you can't go back and make up for it. You can learn from it, but it's about all you can take with it. So find those personal moments and be fully present. Don't be on your phone. Don't be thinking about other things. Whenever you're spending time with somebody, really be spending time with somebody, especially children, because a child's perspective on time is completely different than ours. To them, a year could be half a lifetime, but to us, it's just a blink of an eye. And that ratio changes as we get older. It goes by faster and faster. It's almost like the world starts spinning faster. But for kids, it seems to take forever. That's why they're always so impatient and always in a hurry to do things. we could deal with a little bit of that impatience on our own and attempting to get more things done throughout the course of the day. If you start applying some of these urgency tips and tactics that we're going to talk about here, you'll be amazed at how much you personally can accomplish throughout the course of the day. I've already talked about fatherhood and milestones that pass by, but I mean, one day your kids are little and you're everything to them, and then you're fighting with them and you're arguing with them and you're watching them become small, inexperienced versions of the adult humans that they're going to be, and you get to be simultaneously proud of them and mad at them at the same time. That's always fun. And then they're graduating, then they're moving on, then they're moving out, then they're making their own way in the world, and all of a sudden now they're becoming parents on their own. This stuff just flashes by. Those milestones, they continue to pop up, but man, they go by so quickly. You aren't going to regret taking the time and spending it. Everything is a blink, just an instant. And I call them micro moments. Experience those micro moments because it's worth it. Let me talk about routines for a minute, because this is the number one place work-wise where we end up wasting most of our time, because we spend most of our waking time at work, supporting our families, taking care of our families, doing what we need to do. If we don't tie our dreams and our goals to that, then that routine, while we may be content doing it, will kill us eventually. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, so that may get censored out, but it steals everything from you, especially if your soul's not in it. That routine executed daily destroys your life, destroys your dreams. It takes everything away from you. If you are following your dreams, if that routine is for a purpose, then one, it's not nearly such a drudgery, and two, it does not steal that time away because you're using it towards a bigger goal and towards a bigger purpose. And for those of you that are younger, that are preparing now and are working towards retirement, saving retirement, and yes, you need to be thinking about this in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, don't put it off. Don't put it off, because you know what? That time is going to sneak up on you faster than you think. So start making choices, start planning for that, stop turning off or checking out whenever people start talking about that. What you choose to do is important. And this is a couple of things for young men in their 20s. I know Jordan Peterson talks about when you spend your 20s, you can either spend them partying, and you come into your 30s as basically a useless man and you got to have a skill set, or you can spend your 20s developing your skills and growing and learning what you need to do and working towards your goals, and you hit your 30s and you missed out on a lifetime of, or 10 years of partying when everybody expects you to be an idiot anyway. I'm not sure that same logic probably applies to females too, but I'm not sure how, and I'm not quoting that. I'm quoting that from Jordan. So from a time perspective, whatever you choose to do, we'd probably be in a drastically different place if we hadn't chosen to raise 7 children. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that for the world. I got some of the most incredible memories, and I've lived the most full and awesome life up until this point. And now I'm looking forward to the second half of it, although it may be a little different than some people in their 50s do because of the choices we made when we were younger, the choices I made when I was younger. But you know what? We'll figure it out and we'll see. It's my life and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I'm always going to pursue and go after what I want. So you can't regret what you did in the past and where you chose to spend your time, unless you knowingly chose to spend your time doing things that don't matter. That's a waste of time. It really buries you. Don't get stuck in that rut. Do not allow yourself to sacrifice the majority of your life pursuing and growing other people's dreams. It's not worth it. I touched base on this a little bit earlier, but if you're numbing yourself with chemicals, better living through chemistry, so to speak, you need to stop. I'm not telling you you need to stop completely, and I'm not going to get on a high horse and preach, but I am going to tell you that you're missing out on things and you don't even know it. It's been about 3 weeks for me now since I stopped drinking, September 22nd to be specific. And it seems like it's been a long time. It seems like it's been a month. It seems like it's been 2 or 3 months. And it's because I'm experiencing every minute of every day. I go to sleep knowing what's coming up tomorrow, and I wake up knowing what's going to happen throughout the course of the day. And there's no blanks, there's no gaps, and there's no dullness. I don't know how else to describe it. Some people choose to chemically alter themselves with alcohol. Some people do it with drugs. Some people do it with dopamine. Just doesn't matter. But be sure that you're doing what you need to do to live fully present in the day. And if there's some hard decisions based on your actions that you need to make, then you need to make them. This could be as simple as exercise. It could be as simple as eating correctly, maybe giving up drugs, giving up drinking, giving up those dopamine hits, whatever. It doesn't matter. But get that under control. And you'll find that one, you're going to feel like you've been given the gift of more time, but also you're going to feel like you've been given the gift of more presence. You're going to remember more things. You're going to have better quality time with your family. You're going to have better quality time with your kids, and they're going to appreciate you more. And I know been hammering on the thing with children, but everybody who's ever been interviewed on their deathbed doesn't wish that they'd worked more. They wish that maybe they had spent more time with their family, spent more time pursuing their dreams. They'd spent more time doing things that matter to them long term. And I encourage my children, especially those that are parents already and those that are going to become parents, that you only have a very, very short period of time to experience your children, to look at the world through their eyes when they think that you are the person, you are Superman, you are the person who hung the moon. They look up to you. They want your approval. They want your interaction. Stop burying your head in your computer. Stop burying your head in your phone and listen to them, engage with them, interact with them, because to them, that's an eternity that you're ignoring them, that you're not paying attention to them. To you, it's the blink of an eye. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that they're now adults. They're small adults. They're teenagers that resent you. You can't figure out why. It's because you didn't give them your time. You weren't fully present for them. And you ended up missing out on some very cool interactions and on some very cool small humans. And as they develop, you get to be a part of that. And they want you to be a part of that. And they want you to continue to be a part of that throughout their teenage years if you've done it when they were younger. But if you continue to reject them and you continue to ignore them, you won't be given any of that. You won't have the ability to be present later in their life if you're not present when they're younger. Now, you can work through it, but that relationship will always be flawed. And what does this have to do with business? Well, let me tell you what it has to do with business is if you can't develop a relationship with your family and with your children, then you can't expect to develop short-term or long-term relationships with business partners, colleagues, and what have you, because you already don't know how to do it. The only thing you know is rejection. The only thing that you know is distraction, is lack of interaction, and demand. That's it. If you don't understand these fundamental principles, time will always be your enemy and it will never be on your side. You will never be able to leverage time effectively, and you will especially never be able to leverage other people's time effectively. And this is one thing I spend a lot of time talking with my clients about is delegation and using other people's time more effectively. What is so important that you have to do it as opposed to allowing somebody else to do it, and what can make that difference long term in your life and in their life. And one of the things, if you have children, the one thing that you have to do personally is you can't delegate being a mom. You can't delegate being a dad. If you do, somebody else is going to play that role and not as effectively as you will. And it doesn't always end well. As a matter of fact, it ends badly more often than not. I miss my grandparents. I miss them terribly. I had a great relationship with them. I loved them very much. I learned a lot from them. And I regret that I did not spend more time with them when I was younger. But I was busy being young and stupid. And I didn't pursue them as much as I could have. And I say pursue them. I didn't pursue a relationship with them as much as I could have. And I didn't have a bad relationship with them. But God, I would almost give anything to go back and just experience some more time with them, just be able to spend more time with them. They were instrumental in my life. I make this a point to speak with my mom, to speak with my dad on a regular basis, because I know there'll come a time when I won't be able to. And the thing about this is you don't know what you're going to regret the most when they're gone and you can't talk to them anymore. So the important thing is when that phone rings, if they're calling you, pick it up, because there'll come a time when they won't call anymore or they can't call anymore. If you feel like you need to call them and talk to them, call them and talk to them. Same thing goes with anybody, really. If you call somebody or somebody's on your mind, man, pick up the phone and call them. Send them a text message. Tell them, hey, you've been on my mind lately. I don't even know why. Just checking in with you, seeing what's going on. Or, hey, I've been worried about you. Is everything okay? Call them, go see them, have coffee with them. Make time for people that matter. And if you're thinking about somebody, then there's a reason. Your brain is looking to connect with them, maybe on a subconscious level, maybe on a universal level. I don't know. I don't claim to know any of that, but I will claim this is that if I send that message, I feel a lot better and I will usually get a positive response back, and my day just got a lot. This is one of the first steps in aligning your time with your legacy. And when I talk about legacy, you can call it goals, you can call it dreams, you can call it whatever you want. But if your time is not being spent in things that you stand for and aligned with things that you stand for, then you're betraying yourself every single day. And if you're in business for yourself, and you're spinning your wheels, then you need to take a really close, hard look at where you're spending your time. And I have different advice, even that I'm going to give at the end of this podcast for executives on how to do this. We really drill down in specifically on how to get control of your time, both personally and professionally, and where it's best to use your time. So if you are taking some value from this and you're one of those guys that's a high performer that's really struggling with fitting it all in the same day, well, send me a message. We need to talk privately outside of here, because these are all superficial skills. And if you know that you're already struggling with some of these things, if you're failing as a father or an executive, or you feel like you're not being as effective as you possibly can, then you definitely want to talk to me, because we can help you get control of that. Now, the 6 things that I do and that I teach everybody across the board baseline, and you're going to want to record this, mark it down. I'll put it in the show notes. It doesn't matter, but you're going to want to start implementing these. These don't require a learning curve, and hopefully nothing I ever teach requires a learning curve, but these 6 things will allow you to take control of your time today. Number 1 is you want to start blocking off deep work time. And I'm talking about putting an appointment on your calendar, and you should be using a calendar. That's just a given of time set aside for things. If you're blue collar, you know what? It's real easy to block off work time. Okay, I got to go to this address and do this job today. That is blocking off work time. Well, setting aside time to do estimates is the same thing, and it's just as important. Setting aside time to do follow-ups is the same thing, and it's just as important. This is not a skill that we're taught. We're taught to go from job to job, and that's why in a service-based business, that yo-yo happens. Is okay, I got a lot of work. Well, now I'm performing a lot of work, especially if you're a self-performer and you're not out there selling because it's not blocked off. Well, now you're falling down, and okay, now I got to go sell some more work. So even if you're a good sales rep or you do good quality work, you have trouble staying booked up if you don't start blocking your time for this deep work and naming that deep work. It's easy to say I have an appointment with Mr. Jones and block it off. It's easy to say I'm installing this floor today and block it off. It's hard to say I'm doing prospecting for new business here from 12 to 2 and block it off and then actually do it. That's a skill that's not really taught, because we assume that we know how to control our time because it's dictated for us, just given the nature of what we do and what we did. You have to cut distractions ruthlessly. And this is number 2, cut distractions out ruthlessly. No random calls, no open door policy, no bullshit notifications, no pick up your phone for just 5 minutes of scrolling. Take a look at how much time, and your phone a lot of times will tell you how much time you're spending on screen time and which apps you're spending it on. Go look at that sometime. It's terrifying, the amount of time that's actually wasted with social media. And I'm not telling you social media can't be a good tool. Some of us use it for business, but most of the time it's just this giant time sink, and it's taking away time from you and your family. And start really thinking about when you're spending that time. Another thing, when you add, then these all add together. So you're going to add that time to the amount of time you spend watching television. And yes, this counts football, basketball, the games, whatever, Netflix, all of that. Now think about how many hours a day you spend doing that, and start adding them up, and start thinking about the amount of time that you're spending doing things that do not matter and do not serve your future, do not take care of your family, and do not help you develop the relationship with your children. It's a very, very sobering number if you're honest with yourself. But most of us lie to ourselves about that for a long time. If you're in a position to, delegate aggressively. This is number 3. You want to delegate aggressively any task that you possibly can. If you have an assistant, if you have a staff, if you're an executive or somebody who works in a business that has other people that do different sorts of jobs, you can delegate every task on your list that does not matter. To say it doesn't matter. Sometimes they're important, but that does not matter if you specifically do them. You need to delegate them. And if you're spending more time doing tasks that effectively can be done by somebody else, or that are not necessary for you to do, so, okay, well, fine, you're not going to do it as well as I do anyway, so I'm just going to do it myself. Or if I delegate it, I can just finish it in 5 minutes and then be done. The problem with that is that in 5 minutes times 100 tasks throughout the course of the day, well, you don't have time to do anything else. Whereas if you delegate it to 2 or 3 different people, you can now take your time and focus on the things that really matter to you, which is doing revenue producing activities, revenue generating activities, and allowing them to do their job. And instead of it becoming something that you put off until later, now this is done. Whenever you step back in, the person it was delegated to has given it back to you, and you're able to move on with both tasks completed and 10 times more effective. Don't know how the math works there exactly, but I know that it does. So, number 4, you want to build and you want to use systems. We live in a world of AI, we live in a world of automation, and we live in a world where it's easier than ever to document what we do. So document your systems so that whenever it comes time to delegate it, you can have people do things exactly as you would. Or whenever it comes time to do the same task over and over again, you have a system in place for making that happen. From a service-based industry, this could be something as simple as, okay, if I'm doing this particular job, I've documented that I need these tools, that I need these supplies, and that it's going to take about this long. It doesn't always work, but if you have that system, you're going to show up a hell of a lot more prepared. And if it works 6 out of 10 times, then that 6 out of 10 times, you just got extra time back because you didn't forget this tool, you didn't forget this, you didn't forget that. There are a ton of ways that systems can be helpful to you. So build and use systems specific to yourself. Number 5, align your time with your legacy. And what does this mean? This means that where you spend your time is where you end up. So know where you're going, first of all. Know what you want your legacy to be. And I'm talking about on a macro level. How do you want people to remember you? How do you want your family to remember you? And what do you want out of life? And no, you don't need somebody else's permission to set your own goals and to have your own dreams. You just need to figure out what the hell you want so you can run after it. And then every single thing in your life needs to line up towards that. You know what? Maybe you have a 9-to-5 job and you work daily to make things happen. Well, you need to do that, but it also needs to be in alignment with what you're doing. And if it's not, then you need to start bringing things into alignment with your legacy. You need to review every single thing. And if it doesn't build your future, then you need to get rid of it. It doesn't belong. You need to either shift it out for something else that does build your future, or you just need to eliminate it entirely. And you'd be surprised the amount of time you spend doing things that just don't matter at all. And number 6, and this is one of the most powerful, recalibrate and reflect every night on what you've done. And yes, initially, this is going to feel like beating yourself up because there's going to be a lot of times where you feel like you've failed throughout the course of the day. But you want to sit down in the evening and you want to write down everything that you did for the day if you haven't done that already. And then you write out what you need to do tomorrow and where you're going to spend your time tomorrow. So you write down where you spent your time and you write down where you're going to spend your time. And you take some time and you just think about it. No screens, no music, no TV, no interruptions. This can be as quick as 5 minutes. It could be as long as 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. Think about the things that you did today and what you could have done better. And look at the list of things that you have to do tomorrow and think about how you can be as effective as possible so that when you have that discussion with yourself tomorrow night, it's a different type of discussion. And this reflect and recalibrate is a very oiled down version of what I teach my high performers on how to handle their massive to-do lists and their effectiveness every day. But if you start doing these 6 things, even badly, your life will exponentially improve and you will feel like you've been gifted with more time to do what you need to do and what you want to do long term. So as a gift for everybody that's made it this far, and thank you guys for spending this 30 minutes with me. I hope you found some value. Please share this with your friends. The like, subscribe, send it to somebody who could use it, tag somebody who could use it in the comments, all that good stuff. If you found some value here, then I want you to click on my book, Any Idiot with a Hammer. I'm giving it away for free. It also has additional tasks and additional things that you can do starting tomorrow to start building your legacy and building your future for yourself and your family. And I'm giving that away for you. That link will be the first one right at top. It'll even be before the description so that you guys can get what you need. If you're watching this on social media, check the comments. Or if that particular platform won't let me put it in the comments, I know there's some weird restrictions right now, then go to my bio. It's linked on flintanderson.com. And it's also one of my pinned posts in my LinkedIn. So I love you guys. Let me know if this helped. Let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about, or if you have any questions, put it down in the comments, and let's show everybody that you too can make a difference with your time. Love y'all. Peace.